Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Guys, not every game is worth the same to us, right? And not in price, but in meaning. Guys, now that I'm curating my collection, as you can see, there's to my left here some holes because I'm moving some stuff around, buying some new stuff, bringing it in, and exchanging other things. Let me tell you, I've been getting some great deals out there. I've been exchanging things. I just made the episode about the changing market. You'll probably see that tomorrow. Members are actually watching it first, but let me just take you through the things that I've been doing. I got first. Let me tell you about this game right here. This is a repro label, but the game is actually immaculate. Look at that. Let me show you. Let me show you how cherry this is. And this is one of my prized finds, let me tell you, because I got it, right, with store credit of trading some other games in for, hopefully you guys can see that, about 15 bucks. For the Sega Saturn, all day. All day. And man, this game right here has some memories for me. I still have the magazines, guys. I still have the magazines where I was reading about the game, where these games are coming out for the Saturn out in Japan, and I was just like, how is this not in the U.S.? How come we're not gonna get it? I was thinking of ordering it. I remember the game was exactly $39.95 back in the day, and you had to order it through the mail, and you get the Japanese version, just to have it, because if you didn't have a Japanese Saturn, I don't know what the idea was. I think there was a converter or something they sold. I can't remember, but I remember that ad very clearly. And what I've been doing is I'm curating my collection. There's things that I've been buying, guys, that have been meaningful to me. Some of them I have copies of. I have the original copy but I bought those copies used. It's like only the cartridge. And here's a game that holds a lot, and I mean a lot of memories with me. Look at that bad boy right there. Yep. I've had the cart for a while, but I wanted it complete in box. I wanted it as close to the original as possible. And man, let me tell you, when I think about this game, I think about the twilight of the Sega Genesis, and how powerless I felt at the moment that Street Fighter came out for the Super Nintendo, because I was already deep into Genesis. And I really love Street Fighter. I love Street Fighter at the arcade. And when that game came out on the Super NES, guys, it was crazy. I remember for like about 4 weeks, 5 weeks, my neighbor was just having tournaments at his house, and I could hear him playing, man. I was, working. I had kids, so, I couldn't even go. I had babies and stuff. But, I remember being so jealous, man. Like, oh, man, I could hear them, right? They had somehow back in the day that hooked it up to a stereo, and it was just blasting, man, and they were having a great time, and I could hear them after a hard day's work. Man, and I had a crappy job. My boss at that time was an a-hole that hated how much he paid us. We were in a union, so he had to pay us a really high salary, mandatory overtime, and that guy just every day was pissed that we that he was paying us the money he was paying us, right? But I remember when this finally came out for the Genesis, I was so happy. I was so happy. And unfortunately, I couldn't buy it at launch. It's still expensive back then. I did get Streets of Rage before that. Streets of Rage 2, which is, it came out right at Street Fighter. So even back then, it was, to me, it was the best game on the Genesis at that moment. But it didn't get as much play as it would have, because the Rage was Street Fighter, right? And both were great games, man. Streets of Rage 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. But for me, this game represents the twilight of the Genesis, going out, and how different it would have been, right, if Genesis had secured the license for Street Fighter. Of course, at that moment, Nintendo did everything they could to get that license, because Genesis was really taking them to task, right? Everybody saw the new Super Mario as a kid's game, and all the adults were playing on the Genesis, right? All the sports games, all that stuff was on the Genesis, so that was something. Now, another game that I missed, right? And I wanted to play it again. It was just one of those things where I was working, and it was during the NES time. A game I never got to have, and I always wanted to play it because I found it interesting. Was Kirby? That's right. Kirby's Adventure. Back in the day, I really wanted it. And again, I'm curing my collection with games that I actually play. Like I really like this game. I play it, Punch Out, Gradius, all those titles. That's what I really want my collection to be. And every game that I get now, right, every week, as I'm talking to these guys in the retro stores, there's two in particular that I go to. They already know what I have. Like I gave them a list. There's one store that specifically just specializes like in PS3 titles, right? Like they have a big PS3 collection, and they always come across titles that are off the cuff or hidden gems, if you will. And I have a list for them, and as they come in, they call me right away. So I get them first. I mean, that's my whole thing. I'm not even asking for a discount, right? Because those particular games, they just go. So, and one of them, they asked me that I asked them, because the other thing that they do is they have a lot of Super Nintendo games, but I asked them for one particular one because I wanted to play it on the M64 once I finally get it, right? And that's the game that everybody wants to play on the M64. And that's this bad boy right here. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. That should be the thumbnail right there, baby. Oh, this bad boy right here. The other one that I want that I've been asking for is FIFA. Yeah. So I remember the narration of that game, but these are games that are just symbolic, right? With the N64. And this is the first one that I'm gonna pop in there. And again, I'm curating my collection with the N64. I took away all the fluff, right? That I'm using that to buy more N64 games with that, I actually just want, along with my PS3. I'm really paying attention to my PS3 right now. It's one of my favorite consoles, and I want to make sure that I have a strong library to it because it's pre-internet, right? It's pre all the downloads. There was some downloads, right? But still, that console lasted so long. It's so long, and there's so much value. There is so much value in retro gaming right now. But they are new players, right? But for me, right now, with the space limitations that I have, it doesn't make sense to have, all the games where I have, like, sports games that I never play anymore. Or, some casino games or stuff like that. I want to make sure that I trade those in right now that the values are still good and get games that I really want to play, but also that means something to me, man. And these games that I showed you today, specifically these three right here, oh my lord, I mean, it's just something else. That's when I get these kind of games, it reminds me of the reasons I collect, right? The reasons why my collection is special to me, and it should be special to you too, right? This is part of the hobby that I liked. I've been working so much right now, guys, that I haven't had time. I ordered this. Let me show you, because one of my favorite games of all time, and I've been eyeballing this for a long time, is the Ikari Warriors joystick from Glenn's Retro Show, GRS. Look at that. It's a pretty neat box, too. I like it. I don't know when I'm going to have time to... I don't know when I'm going to have time to put it together, because I'm just exhausted. I really am exhausted, guys. 66, 70 hours a week, even though my job is extremely rewarding right now, guys. I'm not only doing work that I love, but I'm also teaching young people about the job, about, what is it that we do, and going into, all aspects of on my trade with them. It's very rewarding. I get to teach classes every week, to young people, and along with the work that I do, it's really, really rewarding, and that's one of the reasons you're not seeing me as active, because I'm just really, really busy, and when I'm not, I'm enjoying the games. I really am, and I'm going to do an update here on a couple of handhelds. You're going to see me busy this week, and I'm making a lot of videos, and I'll release them in pauses, right? I'm making another one on the on the Chromatic, and one actually coming up on the Evercade, which is one of your you guys' ideas, and I'll highlight the channel member actually that suggested that one. So we'll talk about that. I'll talk about my experiences with the Evercade, and yeah, man, I'm just having a great time collecting right now. I really am. You know, finding these games that I've wanted for a long time. You know, and just chasing them down. You know, the whole vibe to retro is really strong right now with me, and especially probably because, you know, modern gaming has really let us down, and that's a whole nother video, right? There's all kinds of videos, so you know, I'll probably make all these videos probably today. I'll have to change shirts to keep it fresh. And remember, there's codes out there for games, guys. There's a Nintendo code coming up. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.